Hi, I'm Frank, and I like to talk about stuff. So today we're going to talk about the Apple HomePod. This is a device that I do not want. I've never wanted one, and I do not ever plan to buy one. I'll never buy one. I believe this came out originally in 2018, and even then I wasn't really excited about it. It wasn't something that I felt like I needed in my home or my studio, though I have a lot of hobbies and things that I do that require audio. For example, I'm a DJ, and I'm a musician, and I'm a producer, but I have so many monitors and studio monitors and speakers and all kinds of audio devices just here in my home studio that something like this just didn't make sense to me. I've never been really a fan of those single speakers that you just kind of buy and put around the house, because again, most places in my home or my studio have some type of speakers or audio where I can listen to pretty much anything, whether it's watch movies or listen to music. Every place is pretty much covered. So I never planned on buying one of these, and I never will buy one. Now, I know a lot of people are into the smart home devices where you can use your voice, or Alexa, things like that. But I don't really use Siri that much on my phone or on my watch, and the only time that I really use it is when I'm in my car for a full hands-free and safe driving experience. And I know it seems like such a convenient experience and kind of cool, but it's just something that I've never really latched onto. And being that I'm an Apple user, my entire home and studio runs on the Apple ecosystem, from Mac Studios to Mac Minis to iPads and MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros. My iPhone or even my Apple Watch, it's all connected. I get it, Apple's not for everyone, but it's definitely for me, and I don't think that there's any other company out there that has an ecosystem that just connects like Apple does. And I've been using it for years, so I still just could not figure out why I would ever need one of these and use it in my studio, because like I said, it's just not something that I was ever really interested in, and it's not something that I ever planned on buying. And as I said earlier in the video, I will never buy one of these, ever. I will just never buy one of these. And the reason why I say that is because I bought two of them. Okay, I have an explanation for this. Like I said earlier, all the things I'm involved in with music and DJing, music production, guitar, drums, all these things that I do here in the studio, one of my favorite things to do is watch movies. Now, for the longest time, in this corner over here, it was absolutely empty. I had a good friend that got a new house in New Mexico, and I wanted to convert all my TVs to 4K TVs. So I gave her a couple of my HD TVs to help, fill some rooms in her home. I replaced those TVs with 4K TVs. Now in the bedroom area, I have a Sony TV with a Sony soundbar, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the living room. Now in the living room, back in the day when I first moved into this space, I had this amazing surround sound because I really love movies, especially sci-fi and action, fantasy, all the stuff with really great sound effects. And so I had, at one point, 7.2 surround. We're talking a center speaker, two side speakers out here, and two more back behind me, and two subwoofers back behind the TV. It was amazing, sounded awesome, but it was also kind of a mess because you have all these speakers just kind of surrounding everywhere that kind of get in the way. And not to mention, it wasn't a wireless setup. There were cables that went all the way around, multiple cables connecting to the speakers. It was just kind of messy. And in this space, I don't really care about hiding cables or wires or anything because this is sort of an industrial loft space. So, it kind of went along with that kind of vibe. But after a while, I started to realize that I just really didn't like the messy look of the speakers everywhere. And especially nowadays, I'm starting to move towards more of a minimal setup. Now, like I said, Apple released the first HomePod in 2018, and it discontinued it in 2021, I believe. Now, I think they have these smaller ones. They're only $99 that seem to be very popular and selling well. But again, it's just not interested in those. But the last time Apple did a presentation, they re-released the HomePod. And it's a little bit different, the specs are different, but I'm not here really to talk about the specs. The thing is that I finally replaced the TV with a 4K TV, bought a nice little TV stand, and everything looks really cool, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with a theater system. Now, I was thinking instead of getting the whole surround sound again, I wanted to go with a sound bar. But then Apple showed me something that I had never really seen before because I was just never interested in the HomePod. And that's apparently that you can use two HomePods as a theater system. I want to see what that's like. So that's why I can't buy one and why I bought two. So I unboxed these and I'm going to set them up and see what it sounds like. What I'm really interested in is how easy they are to set up. I already have an Apple TV 4K set up with this TV, so it's ready to go. So we'll see just how difficult it is to set up. Okay, I set everything up. I got the HomePods all set up there. Everything is pretty much running. I had a little bit of trouble getting everything set up. Now, it's not difficult to set up because the phone automatically just reads it. You hold the phone near the HomePod and a little window comes up and you could set up the HomePod very easily by just following some instructions. It's pretty straightforward. However, one of the HomePods kept giving me a lot of trouble. I kept getting an error. I think it was 300-252, something like that. Just constantly kept giving me this error. The right one just set up perfectly, no trouble at all, but the left one kept giving me a lot of trouble. Eventually, I got it to work and set up and no big deal. But then I couldn't get the Apple TV 4K to actually select the HomePods as a default speaker. But then I realized this is all set up in Apple's HomeKit application. If you look on the phone, you'll see the devices show up in the HomeKit. The HomePods and any other devices that you have set up. The Apple TVs were already set up in the HomeKit app. I didn't even have to put them in there. They were just already in there. But then I realized I needed to actually check the settings on the Apple TV. So I went into settings and I went down to AirPlay and HomeKit. When I clicked in there, the thing that I needed to do was make sure that the room for the HomeKit was set for my living room. Now, when I go back to say video and audio, to select the audio that I want to use, click in, and then I go down to audio output, click that. Now I have the living room speakers as a default audio output. There we go, we're gonna select it. It's connecting to it now, and now my HomePods are now my theater system for my Apple TV. I only use an Apple TV to watch everything from HBO Max to Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, you know, all the good stuff. I also buy a lot of movies digitally, so I watch these movies on there. Now, when I set this thing up, I got a taste of the sound that comes out of this speaker. There's a startup chime, and I was actually very impressed with the body of the sound that came out of the speaker. So I decided to put on a few movies and test out the sound to see what it sounds like. Now I have a pretty extensive digital movie collection. I have over 700 movies that I've purchased over the past few years, and most of them are 4K. So what I decided to do was go through and pick some of my favorite scenes that had some of the best audio and test out to see what these speakers really sounded like.
surprises. Subject charges. Stand by.
Okay, so after watching a few of these scenes and listening to the audio from these really small speakers, I gotta tell you, I was totally impressed. Like, I had seen a lot of videos on YouTube of people talking about how impressed they were with the sound with these speakers, but I really had to see for myself. Plus, the setup is just perfect for it. I did not realize that when I bought the stand for this TV that these HomePods were gonna fit perfectly in this. This was a complete accident. So overall, should you get a HomePod? I don't think you should. I think you should get two. If you're going to get a HomePod for just music and to have around the house and use Siri, I would just save the money and spend $99 and just get the HomePod Mini. I've tested them out, I've been in the stores and I've listened to them and they sound really great. They're actually quite comparable to these and you're gonna save a couple of $100. Just one HomePod is $300, which is around the same price of what a good soundbar would cost you, which is what I was going to get. But then, like I said, Apple presented this concept that I never really considered because I never really considered buying a HomePod. So I would get two HomePods and use them for a theater system, but I wouldn't get one. Instead, I would get the HomePod Mini, because you can get a few of those and put them around the house and even connect them. But I think for my preferences, this dual HomePod setup is perfect. It lets me keep things simple and I get a great sound. Plus, I do get all the other features like the Apple HomeKit, Siri, and all the other cool stuff that comes along with having a HomePod. So, thanks for watching my first video on my channel where I like to talk about stuff. These will all be unscripted videos where I give my honest opinion about these things. So I hope you come back because who knows what I'll talk about next.